All right, so to start off the homework, I'm gonna need to create a brand new React application so I can start rendering my list of cakes into it. So to do that, I have a terminal open here on the right, and it's actually pointing to my projects folder. So I'll just write the command npx create react app, and I'll call it cake app. So what this command will do is it will actually install all of the files that I need to start working on a brand new React application directly. And it's also gonna allow me to run that application in the browser. So you're gonna see that in action a bit. So this is a really useful utility. Like even if you just wanna create brand new React apps in your own time, play around with different features, you can just run this command and it's going to create everything you need. Okay, so once it finishes installing, we can cd into the cake app. And to start it off, we can run npm start. We can see the app is pointing at localhost 3000. Cool, so now we have an app running in the browser. So while we're gonna keep this window open, it's actually gonna listen to changes that we make in our files and it's gonna refresh the browser for us. So I'm just gonna minimize this for the moment. So now's a good time to open up VS Code. All right, great. So we're gonna go open folder, cake app. Okay, so now I'm just gonna try to make some changes to see if the app is running correctly. So I'll just add a new paragraph here, save it, and we should immediately see the browser update with the new changes. Okay, great. For some maintenance, I'm just going to remove these two paragraphs just so I'm sure I have enough space for the cakes list. I'll just change the title as well. Okay, nice. Okay, I'll need a cakes list component. I'll add one here. Because it's a React component, I'll need to import React from React. Okay, and because this is gonna hold my cakes list, I'm gonna need some state for that cakes list. So because we're gonna use state, it needs to be a class component. Okay, so class cakes list extends react.component. So this is what actually tells it that, hey, it's a proper React component. And now I'm gonna need to write the render method. So this is probably one of the most important methods when you create a class React component, just because without it, nothing will actually render. So inside of it, I'm just gonna return a span just to test if my cakes list is working. Okay, and because I actually want to use it elsewhere, I need to export it. Okay, I'll save this. Now if I go back to my app.js, I'll need to import cakes list from cakes list. Okay, and I'll just use it here right below the header. Okay, great. So it's actually importing my component and it's rendering it to the screen. Cool. Okay, now I can actually start thinking about the state. So the best place to initialize the state is inside the constructor method. And that's because this will only get called once when this component is created. So I'll first need to call super, and then I'll need to initialize my state to a new object that has an empty list of cakes. Okay, the next part I want to think about is I actually want to make the API call to the server and get the proper list of cakes. So let me go back to the homework and I'll click on the JSON URL. And here we'll actually see all of the results that we get if we make this call. If you don't actually see them like this, so I'm using a Chrome plugin. It's called JSON Viewer Awesome. I can send you the link to this, or you can look for it in the Chrome Web Store. I'm pretty sure there should be a plugin like this for Firefox as well. Okay, so I'll copy this URL. I'll just use fetch and I'll paste in the URL here. Now I'll need to call then, and provide a callback for it. And I'll return data.json. This is so I can actually convert the response to a proper JavaScript object. And then I'll need the final then here, to which I'll pass my final callback. So it's in this callback where I'm actually gonna get the list of cakes from the server, and it's where I also wanna update my state. Okay, so to update my state, and this is really important, we need to use this .setState. And to it, we're gonna pass an object, which will be our new representation of the state. So in this case, it's gonna be my new list of cakes will be this list of server cakes that we got back from the server. Okay, cool. So what did we do? So we have a component, we have a render method, we have a constructor where we initialize the state, and then we're also fetching the proper list of cakes from the server, and then we're updating the state when we get that list back. So the final thing that we need to do is to actually display these results. So I'll go back to my render method and I'll wrap everything in a div. So I'll open up some curly braces and I'll access this .state.cakes. This is an array, so I'll map over that array. And for each cake, so I want to pass a callback to this. And for each cake, I want to return a brand new paragraph with the title of the cake. So if you remember from when we were looking at the list of cakes, each one of them will have a title, a description, and an image. In this case, we can actually use the title just to test this out. Okay, so if I save this and I go back to my browser, we can see that we get the list of all the cakes. Okay, great. So this is the first part of the homework. What you'll probably need to do now is, instead of just returning a simple paragraph for each cake, you're probably gonna want to extract this into its own cake component and render the title, but also render the description and also render an image for each one of the cakes. As a stretch goal, you can add an input at the top, so just above your cakes list, just add an input, and whenever you type into that input, it should filter down the list of cakes. So if I type lemon, for example, it should only show me lemon cakes. And as a stretch goal, you can try to see if you can add the ability to edit or add cakes. But don't worry too much about that. The important thing is that you finish the first part and try to look at the second part as well. Cool, thank you very much.